Yeah.
And we're live.
Hello.
Hello, welcome, Alvil. How's it
Hi.
going?
It's going good, considering all things considering. Yeah,
There's a lot to consider right
yeah.
now. So welcome to Losing Your Damn Mind with Andrea.
Thank you, Andrew. That's awesome.
So, yeah, basically, the whole point of this, just that this is an unprecedented event in our lifetimes, and in like the last sort of world affecting pandemic like this. Well, really, the last one was
Yeah,
the AIDS epidemic,
yeah,
but it was a slightly more targeted demographics that it was hitting. So prior to that would have, of course, been the Spanish flu back
yeah.
in 1918, and most of the people who were still around for that don't remember it terribly well. So
Yeah,
here we are in a modern world trying to cope. And so, Alvil, have you lost your damn mind?
some days it seems like I have, and some days like I feel like not that it's back to normal, but I have my good days and bad days. And to be honest, like it's been tough not being able to do the normal things like I do, because like I'm an activity driven person.
Mhm.
100%. Like I'm used to going out every day of the week, except for like when I have to rest on like a Sunday. Like every day is filled with activity. I train jiu-jitsu 3 times a week. Uh I study like Tuesday, Thursdays. Like I try to find activities within the city. So like trivia nights or meeting with different groups of people. Like there's a group that I joined like 2 years ago, which is People Who Chill in Regina. That's run by my friend Kenton, and he can talk about the Spanish flu for sure. He's like a really good resource for that. And For me, like it's just having a new normal, as they say. And I'm trying to pivot, and I hate using those words because people are sick of it. Like we're trying to pivot here, right? But
Yeah.
I know that I'm Regina's favorite token minority, so I also go as by the Instagram handle hashtag Asian Channing Tatum. And so I just want to let your viewers know that you can look me up on Instagram and follow me. And I'm just joking. I'm just trying to I I'm just gonna be very truthful in this, because like I've been on a couple podcasts and people have actually messaged me because like I'm a font of information. I tend to There's a term by Malcolm Gladwell called Maven, and so I have such a diverse group of friends that I turn to. Like there's the jiu-jitsu friends who are the athletes, the cosplay people, and my nerd friends, and then I have normal groups of people. And Andrea, you fit into like the normal groups of people. And so yeah.
Well, I don't think that's the first possible time that I've been accused of being normal. No, I've generally thought of myself as a little more of an outlier, not necessarily willingly so,
Yeah.
but I was saying in yesterday when I was with Sarah talking about how I've always been very socially awkward and just pain. When I was in high school, I was just painfully shy, and I always felt a little bit like an outsider. Whereas in more recent years, I would still say that I'm kind of an outsider, but I have sort of cultivated this lack of concern about it that just being yourself and being a little more out there is not necessarily a bad thing.
Well, I think the most like I think there's an old saying like the brightest star is the one who like flashes bright and then like not fades in the end, but a shooting star, I guess, is the case of it. But there's like I'm finding like there's two groups of people that, as an extrovert, this is the hardest thing to happen to me in terms of like my mental health and stuff like that. Because I was just talking to my brother the other day. Yeah, I'm a social person. I need like people interaction. We actually miss something which is surprising: shopping. Nah, like I took it for granted, like shopping for little things, right? Like I like browsing apparently. So, and not that I have like that hunter gatherer thing. Like there's a whole thing about like men should be like we get in the store, we get out, or women like to browse. No, that's off the table. Like everyone likes to browse. You know what I mean? But
Mhm.
yeah, things just getting used to 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 this has been quite eye opening. And just coping with um I have a lot of friends, but it's hard to video chat with everyone because like sometimes like because of this my sleep schedule has changed. Like I'm more of a night owl than I've ever been in my entire life this time. And
Uh,
it's just because like I can actually have access to my computer devices and I can like research or I study a lot more now and my friends who are late at night, I have friends all over the world. I have friends in Japan, Australia, where else? Who did I talk to? Like what was it? It starts with a K. It's not called Kuala Lumpur. It starts with a K anyway. It's an Asian country, and they're there doing teaching English as a second language and stuff like that. So because of my 20s, I traveled a lot and I kept in touch with all those people thanks to technology like Facebook and stuff like that. But
hmm.
ask me any question, like it's all good. Like I tend to ramble, so you're gonna be like you're gonna have to put me on a leash of some sort. Not that I'm into that. That's awkward, but
I was gonna say, I think we're going into a different area of mental health here, which which we're just going to quietly steer back from. I'm sorry, my dog is like, I guess he wants some food or water, and he has suddenly started like flipping his dishes over there. So I don't know if you can hear that on the broadcast, but he's being a little brat. Come here, Buster, come here.
oh
That's great.
goodness,
um, yeah, to your point about talking to people online, like, yeah, I tend to be a very social person, but between um, like the work that I do at the hospital and then work that I do with personal clients, like as a
mhm,
photographer, like I get to meet new people on a regular basis, and then I'm also involved in a choir, and so I every week I get to go out and see like 30 to 40 people that I get to talk to and sing with and have fun with. And then, of course, that doesn't even count like, going out for drinks with people or just for coffee or lunch or whatever. And I've been finding that that's been really, really tough lately because basically it's just I see my mom and my boyfriend and that's about it, and the dog. Occasionally I'll run into the neighbors when
yeah.
I'm out walking the dog, but that's about it. So yeah, it's tough.
I gotta say, I guess even putting it in perspective too, like I'm very lucky. I get along with my family, and you do too. Like
Yeah.
we're very blessed to be able to talk to my like. I can't imagine my household where I couldn't like get along with my mom or I couldn't get along with my sister. It's just that because we have developed the relationships that we have. I think the attitude of gratitude is such an important thing. Like we're
Mhm.
very lucky. Like my sister works on the front line. She has a different type of stress that I never thought would have as a nurse, right? I always
Yeah.
took for granted her safety in the workplace, and now it's like it's all over the world. Like now it's like a different type of hazard that has come to her workplace, and it's like it's hard. She has a different type of stress and she's dealing with it as best she can. My mom like is always a trooper. She's like a really I would say kind of tough as nails lady, but she's still compassionate and kind. And like I get a lot of the compassion side of her, the logical thinking and all the engineering stuff I get from my dad when he was alive, and he's given me tool sets that I carry on to my lifetime. So here's a funny story. When my brother and sister were young, they would be allowed to play, and I would always have to be watch my dad fix things. So I was the oldest. I'm the oldest in my family, and I'm like, okay, why do I have to do? Why does Ninny and Jared have to play? So, but then at a very young age, I really realized that he was teaching me how to fix things. So I know how to shut off the main water in our house. I know what to do if electricity goes out. You call the experts. You don't want to deal with electricity. That's what my dad taught me. But the other thing is, you just got to respect your tools and like know how to use a tool set. I think that's carried on into my adult life too, because like I really try to think logically and try to say to myself and give myself positive affirmations in regards to what we're dealing with now. I've even used technology in that regard. So, like for instance, on Facebook, I have all these memories since my dad passed on. I made a point of making sure that my Facebook feed was positive, with not only with friends, but with the news that I consume and the quotes that I have. So
Yeah.
I started typing in inspirational quotes, and all of a sudden it hit me every like 5 years or every 7 years. It comes back up, and I see pictures of, like, of course, my dad, but also the things that I had during that time. And that's where I utilize technology to its best. Luckily, I have
Yeah.
a lot of friends in the evening, but sometimes they don't want a video chat, and I understand that because they have like different hours themselves, right? And it's hard because, like, all of a sudden, like, I have so many people that I used to get in touch with, but because of this, like, I feel so alone at the same time. And I never realized that just taking the normal day-to-day things for granted. um, you realize, like, life is short and long, I tell my sister, and you have to make you have to remember the good when you have it. Um and there's this wonderful quote from The Office. It says, "I wish I remember the good times when they were happening." And that's being in the present moment, right? That's a beautiful
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that was one of Michael's quotes, wasn't it?
It was Andy's, actually, because, like, it was near the finale, and then he was talking about, like, he wish he had, like, taken the time to, like, enjoy the moment rather than think of the future. Because Andy's character was, like, all out there. He was so ambitious, and they had to
Yeah.
replace Michael Scott character. All I know is that Michael Scott's character was, that's what she said. So
Yeah. Actually, one of The Office is one of the shows that gives me great joy in this world,
yeah,
and I know that there are a lot of people who agree with me. Although probably just as many people who would fight me to the death on that one. But I don't know. There's just something about the show that like. Um, there's been a couple like in the last couple of years when I've been going through tough times, it's just one of those things that like I know I've seen it before and I know that like generally speaking you're going to know the gags that are coming up,
yeah,
but at the same time it's just there's something familiar about it, and because it's such a great ensemble cast, like
yeah,
you do feel as though in a way like that this is a little family that you're kind of a part of, even though
yeah,
they never actually are technically talking to you.
yeah.
But yeah, and I actually, because so viewers might not know, I actually have a film degree from U of R, and I did a minor in film studies as well as my major in film production, which I do not use at all anymore. I don't know, like this is StreamYard is doing all the work here. I am not doing any editing at all with this. But every once in a while, the film study geek in me will sort of crop up again and be like, hey, next time you're watching The Office, like from front to back, you should actually make a point to start writing some notes and then actually like write an essay on the evolution of the characters
Yeah.
of The Office. Because for some of them, particularly Pam's relationship with Michael,
Yeah.
how it changes so much over the course of the seasons until he leaves is just, it's kind of heartwarming in a way.
Well, the greatest thing about it, you're right. That's a great example. It's just like initially Michael's character was supposed to be the, like,
The
awkward
David
villain, and
Brin. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, like the Ricky Gervais of that but he turned into such a lovable character from one episode, like that the episode of when Pam Beasley has the art gallery, and he says,
Yeah.
"Wow," right?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
he's the only one, well, actually, Oscar did technically show up for the show, but, Michael was the only one who was, like, truly there to support her,
Mhm.
and, and then she's, of course, the only one who sees him off at the airport.
Yeah. And
So
I think we when we love a show, we tend to identify with their characters because they have certain aspects that we obtain to for like I like their White Shroot's, like, clever ways of, like, defense and stuff like that. Like, he's funny. I like Asian Jim. I really
yeah.
relate with that character for some reason. I don't know why. But
I do have to wonder if Randall Park, gets a lot of recognition just by virtue of being Asian.
yeah, yeah. That was the most. Every time it pops on my timeline, I said it's the greatest gag that I've ever seen on television. It was just like, that's so brilliant. And then what? what really astonishes me is like they took it to such another level when they had the like picture of Pam and the Asian like family. I was like,
Yeah.
oh my god. My brother and I have something in common, which is like not only we like jujitsu and MMA, but we like good writing. We look for writers rather than
Yeah.
even the actors. So like, um, we kind of look for that. Like it really brings like a lot of things into focus. Like watching online streaming. Like here's the funny thing: everyone watched Tiger King. I know the plot. Uh, I know everything from the memes. I haven't watched the show at all. It's 8 hours of like full episodes, but apparently there's a fascination with it, right? And
Yeah, I
I
haven't watched it either.
it's a,
Although I would say that might just could be chalked up to the fact that I have a bit of oppositional defiance disorder when it comes to TV and movies. When people talk about something too much, I'm way more likely to not watch it because it
mm,
can't possibly like it ends up getting sort of raised to a level of here.
mm,
And in some ways, I just know it can't possibly live up to those expectations. So I need to like let it die down and then maybe I'll watch it. Like only recently have I been watching Breaking Bad for the first time. And I mean, I
yeah,
love Bryan Cranston. I think
yeah,
he's a fantastic actor and
yeah.
like I had nothing against the show. I just made it was like, no, I can't do it right now. So it's cool to be watching it now when not everybody else is also watching it too.
You just described my love life. So I had expectation here, but unfortunately, it's way down here. And I wish I wasn't single during the pandemic. It's just sad. But anyway,
Well, I mean, if you got yourself out there onto the online dating apps, I'm sure this would be a good time to find out who's actually capable of carrying on a conversation.
that's true. That's true. It's interesting. Like there's been news articles and like sociologists are having a great field day in terms of like understanding how are we connecting to each other even though we're far apart. And it's like even from the family dynamic to like dating in the virtual world. Like
Mhm,
I'll give you a good example. Bumble's a COO implemented a video chat feature before this happened, and all of a sudden it blew up like 10,000 fold. Like, and women have this choice of who they want to date, and like there's always a woman's choice. Like it just depends on your the apps you choose. But Tinder's the same way, or Match, and not that I'm on all of those. I'm on Tinder and Bumble. For your audience. So
as for any of our watchers.
yeah, yeah. um, but yeah, it's interesting how we use technology to connect. I'm glad that I can send a funny meme or send a funny picture to my friends. The majority of my phone is actually Baby Yoda memes and like funny pictures of myself. So that's
Mhm,
it's funny. And also I like, the other thing is like memories crop up too on your phone too. Like I have pictures of my nephew who I love very dearly and my and stuff like that. So I feel that technology really is, if some people can say that technology has pushed us apart or made us go, it actually has brought us all together because like we now know more about how we appreciate each other, and thank goodness for technology um to bring us all together. I have 425 people from my high school who I'm friends with on Facebook, and I can't keep in touch with everyone, but I'd like to see how their lives develop. And
mhm.
and not that I Facebook stalk. It's just like I have such a good memory. I remember the last conversations we had, right?
Mhm.
And I find that if it weren't for that, like it's good to know that all my friends are doing the smart thing. Like they're doing all the responsible thing. All my Facebook friends are doing proper social distancing within their own countries. So I've never surrounded myself with bad people, and I realize I'm very lucky, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah, I there's been a few times over my life when, I've sort of become cognizant of and I realize that a certain amount of that is, like, the family I was born into, the neighborhood I grew up in, the schools I went to, and the just the opportunities that I had, it is when you think of it, you really you can be really blessed to know that that you didn't end up in a situation where you may have had to compromise your safety or just be presented with some potentially really bad decisions that could take your life into a completely different direction. So yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, and I think that is it's important to be cognizant of that.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think also too, it's like it's also a great way to create like a quick communication within a group of people. Like, for my instance, like I have cousins within Regina who not only work on the front lines, but we care about each other because my mom actually helped my cousins come and immigrate from the Philippines, right? And she's the matriarch of at least I would like to say the Regina region of us. And my cousins and I always they call my mom whenever they can, or they really care about my mom because she really brought them opportunity to be in Canada.
Mhm.
And it's really gratifying to know that I can within a message I can tell them what's going on and send them information that is pertinent to them. And I think it's just showing that you can have love within not only your immediate family, but you also have love for your extended family too. Like for my friends that are on my Facebook list, they're more my family too because I really deeply care about them, and I'm sure you have that too. And I'm your friend Andrea. Like I don't know when the first time we met. Usually I have like that. I'm sure we met at some sort of business function or something.
I I was trying to remember that too, and I feel like it was a big networking event that I think you might have been doing the social media for it, and I feel like Brandy and Jill
Yep.
might have been spearheading that, and I wish I could remember what it was called, but
It was probably one of those mastermind things that they did. It was called,
YMME or something like that.
yeah, or it was the one that they used to put on together. It was an annual video event or something like that. But I met you in one of those for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know why
So,
it's eluding me. It's because, like, here's the funny thing. Our friendship grew online more so because we don't hang out on a
yeah,
regular basis at all. Like,
yeah.
I just found out today that you're not single and you have a boyfriend. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Uh, but actually, like we have a common interest, like the love of Star Trek and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Yeah. And I like the new way they're doing it with Picard and stuff, and I like sending memes to you for that. I make a note of it, like, oh, Andrea loves Star Trek. I'll send her a funny GIF or meme if in the comments, or even when remember that one time you went to Saskatoon for a photography session and you had a really great picture of you and your friend. And I started like photoshopping them into various
yeah.
advertisements and stuff like that. I thought like, and that's over time, like because the speed of trust with our friendship is, and I never bother people if they. I like making people feel joy, and the speed of trust is so important with me that there's an old philosopher by the name of Seneca, and Seneca once said, "Know who you are and adorn yourself accordingly." So that means like not only to the things we wear, but to the people that we experience life with, right?
Mhm.
So it's good, and I'm glad I chose good friends, and I'm glad I'm your friend Andrea. And yes, I know I'm not your only Asian friend, but I hope I'm one of the better ones. So
Well, like, sorta going back to what I was saying about, sort of being an outlier and being okay with it,
yeah,
like they say, and this might even come down to a Dr. Seuss quote, something about, just being yourself because everybody else is already themselves, so the world needs a you,
yeah.
basically, and, yeah, just the whole idea behind, just being yourself and being okay with it, and the right people will find you and will be fine with that too, so,
I
yeah.
agree with that wholeheartedly. There's an ancient quote that was taken from Zorro of all things, like when the student is ready, the master will appear. And I always took that to heart because that's true. Like we have many masters in our life, like good professors or teacher or parents, and when you're
Yeah,
ready to accept or learn from them, it's really powerful dynamic for that, right?
yeah,
Like for me, training jujitsu and learning ways to meditate, I've done that my entire life. Sometimes I'm like bad for it. I forget I have that mental training, right? It's mostly physical, but I have that mental training. And I have like this one meditation I invented after my dad passed away. And I'll share it near the end of this program. But I know we're hitting at the 24, 27 mark
yeah.
because you wanted 25 people. You should let us like rap and Like, I know you only want 25 minutes. I get it. I get it.
Well, in that case,
Yeah.
so well, and maybe we can lead right into that because I always try to end on a positive note. And generally, the question is, do you have any go-tos or things that can help you alleviate stress or just make you smile when you need it?
Okay.
And particularly for people who have dealt with grief, that maybe this will be something that would be helpful for them.
Um, I guess the funny answer is one Baby Yoda memes.
Yes.
But
Everybody loves the Baby Yoda
yes,
memes.
God bless Baby Yoda. The second one is more serious, and the thing is, like, if you remember your loved ones, your entire history, you're the most luckiest person in the world because the odds of you being alive are 450 million when you were first conceived, and that's when it comes from womb to tomb. You have to think about your life. So I do this meditation for 3 breaths, right? And it came, and every time I think about my dad and stuff like that, and I think about his last breath, but I also think about mine. So I'm gonna go through it, okay? So I take a deep breath in. I think of my very last breath on earth. Take a deep breath in. I put my hand over my heart to remember that, that was my last breath. Okay. I think about the future and how I can't control it, but I know that I will have a last breath. I just don't know when. The second breath is I think about my very first breath, the one that I took when I was a baby. I take a deep breath in. And I think about how far I've come since my birth and to my last breath. And finally, the third breath, ironically, is in the present. So I take a deep breath in. And I think of something good that I'm in the present. So I'm in present talking with you, and I'm present of talking with others, and I feel calming and reassurance. And I think that if we think about every breath we take, it's like it's not the date of birth that we have at the beginning or the last. It's the dash in between, as they say. And so by being in the present moment and realizing, we're pretty lucky. We're in a safe place right now. We're luckier than most. We got to realize that we can live for the future because we know what has transpired. Like the ultimate destination is like maybe death, but there's life after. That's where I come and I pray a lot. My mom taught me that. My dad taught me that. But also like being in the present moment with people. Like I feel love whenever I do that, and I also have like I feel the love of I had to say it, God whenever I do that too, because like I'm a religious man too. My mom always says I'm the most spiritual one of the family in terms of like the children, and not that my sister and brother aren't. It's just like uh, I tend to have that connection more so, and I would tell another anecdotal story, but I would it would take a very long time, but being in the present moment, if you can, like realize we're very lucky to live in Saskatchewan. We're very lucky to have the friends we have, and we're very lucky to be alive.
Mhm.
Because like we this too shall pass, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a good reminder, and that's a really nice meditation that you have right there because, yeah, I mean, sometimes we do take for granted that, yeah, like, we have our safety, we have our health, and, and chances are we're gonna get through this,
Yeah,
and, yeah, you're still gonna have a lot more of that dash in between before the end date.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it's like there's a wonderful quote from the movie Gladiator, and he says, "What we do now echoes on into eternity." And he was talking about like the Elysium fields for the soldiers when they die in battle, but that can be applied to life too because like everyone forgets, like you know, like there's I like to think there's like there is scientific studies been done about life after death, and like the 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 Keanu Reeves once said in an interview, he knows this one thing: the ones uh who are left behind will miss us the most when we're gone, right? And
Mhm.
it's very zen in terms of that. Like, how am I affecting my life of others now, right? And I think just existing and being good friends to another mother, or being like a good brother or a good sister or a good like uncle or a good son or daughter. Uh, just being in the present moment with your family is like a gift in itself.
Mhm.
And I'm gonna leave it on that note. If we can, if you want, I don't know what else to talk about. I could talk so long, guys. You have no idea. Yeah,
Well, I think we'll put a pin in it for there, but perhaps at some point we could do a second episode and talk
yes,
about some of the other things that you mentioned.
yeah,
Because I've gotten some feedback from some people. I guess if people want to comment, if
yeah,
anybody's watching, whether a half hour is too long for a vlog or I seem to get for every 2 people I ask, I'll have one person who's like, "No, a half hour is just perfect," and other people who are like, "No, it's way too long."
yeah,
So
yeah,
so at any rate, I am since, it's only gonna be up for a second, but, basically, I think some of what we've been talking about has been vulnerability, and again, that goes in with,
yeah,
being who you are and honoring sort of what you're dealing with at any given time, which means, um allowing yourself to be vulnerable with people, either in person or online, and it helps build trust and build those connections that you were talking about. So check out Brene Brown. She's an excellent speaker. She's got some great books out there, and thank you, Alvil, for agreeing to be a guest on the show.
I something came to mind, and I think your audience would appreciate that. Like, I appreciate you very much, Andrea. And the fact is, like, I think the questions you have, how you lost your damn mind, is such a prevalent and awesome topic about that, because like you're actually letting your audience like see like yes, like the question like how are we dealing with this in this time, and this will be a historical record for future generations, right? And yeah,
I just hope those future generations are kind.
yeah, 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 yeah. That's true.
Okay, well, we're gonna wrap up here, and I hope that you had a good visit, and I'll keep you on the line, and we'll be we'll be back for episode 9, hopefully tomorrow. Okay, bye.
Bye.